Every choice changes everything. You are listening to Crossroads Story. Forgive, fall, rise. Jacob sat alone on the worn-out couch in his small apartment, staring at an old photograph. The image captured a sunny day from 20 years ago, when he and his father, Tom, shared laughter and smiles. Now those happy memories felt like a distant dream. Their relationship had soured after a misunderstanding escalated into a painful argument that neither wanted to resolve. Jacob, proud and stubborn, had chosen silence over conversation, believing it would shield him from further hurt. Tom, on the other hand, missed his son dearly. For years, he held on to hope that Jacob would reach out again. He spent countless nights replaying their last moments together, feeling lost in his own regrets. It was as if a heavy fog hung over their lives, separating two once close hearts. Yet while they each endured the silence, life continued around them. Job changes for Jacob and health issues for Tom. But the bond that had once brought them joy remained fractured. Despite their apparent distance, both men carried a yearning deep inside to heal what had been broken and reconnect with one another. Little did they know that all it would take was one simple sentence to begin paving the way for forgiveness. The rift between Jacob and Tom began one fateful evening when Jacob was just 18. He had been excited to share his college plans, dreaming of a bright future. However, Tom, burdened by his own worries about finances and job security, reacted harshly. Instead of offering support, he raised concerns about the cost of education and the risks of pursuing a dream that felt too risky. Feeling dismissed and hurt, Jacob interpreted his father's words as a lack of faith in him. The conversation escalated into a heated argument filled with angry words. Tom, frustrated, warned Jacob not to pursue what he saw as foolishness, while Jacob accused his father of always being overly cautious. That night ended with slamming doors and an emotional chasm that seemed impossible to cross. As days turned into weeks, neither man made an effort to reach out. Pride kept them apart, and misunderstandings deepened the silence. Jacob convinced himself that he didn't need Tom's approval, while Tom believed he was protecting his son from failure. What started as a simple disagreement had transformed into years of hurt and unresolved feelings, creating a barrier neither knew how to break. During the 20 years of silence, Jacob navigated life with a heavy heart. He pursued his college education but often felt a deep emptiness, as if something essential was missing. Each graduation and milestone reminded him of his father's absence, leaving him with a mix of pride and sorrow. Despite his accomplishments, the loneliness lingered, and he found himself wishing for Tom's approval and support. Late at night, Jacob would sift through old memories, wondering if they could have resolved their differences instead of letting pride dictate their lives. Meanwhile, Tom struggled in his own way. The years weighed heavily on him. He missed Jacob's laughter and the simple joys they once shared. He often reminisced about their time together, feeling an ache for the connection they had lost. Tom tried to fill the void with work and hobbies, but nothing could replace the bond with his son. In quiet moments, he would replay their last argument in his mind, filled with regret for not reaching out sooner. Both men were trapped in a cycle of longing and isolation, silently hoping for a chance to mend what had been broken. The turning point for Jacob came unexpectedly on a quiet autumn day. He wandered through a local community center hosting a small art exhibition, where he stumbled upon a piece that struck a chord deep within him. The artwork depicted two trees, intertwined yet separate, representing connections that could either flourish or fade. It reminded him of his relationship with Tom and sparked a wave of realization about the years lost to silence. As Jacob studied the piece, memories flooded back, intertwining with feelings of regret. He realized that life was too short to hold on to pride and resentment. It dawned on him that reaching out might be the first step toward healing, not only for himself but for Tom as well. That evening, he felt an overwhelming sense of clarity and hope, pushing him to reflect on the dreams they once shared. With newfound courage, Jacob decided to send a simple message. "I'm sorry, Dad. Though the words seemed small, he understood their power. This decision marked a turning point, reminding him that vulnerability could pave the way for reconciliation and healing, finally giving them both a chance to reconnect after so many years. As Jacob sat down to write the message, a whirlwind of emotions surged through him. He felt nervous yet determined, fully aware that those 3 words carried a weight far beyond their simplicity. "I'm sorry, Dad," was not just an apology. It was a bridge over 2 decades of silence and hurt. It represented years of regret and longing, encapsulating the hope for reconciliation. Jacob thought carefully about the significance of the phrase. He understood it conveyed his acknowledgement of past mistakes and the pain caused by their argument. It was a way to express his desire to mend what had been broken. The word sorry felt heavy, yet liberating, as if lifting a burden he had carried for too long. In this moment, he realized that admitting fault did not make him weak. Instead, it demonstrated strength and vulnerability. With each tap of the keyboard, he felt more empowered. He imagined Tom's reaction, hoping it would open the door to healing and understanding. Jacob knew that sending this message could be the first step towards rebuilding their connection. As he hit send, a wave of relief washed over him, igniting a flicker of hope for their future together. When Tom received Jacob's message, he felt an instant jolt of shock run through him. It had been 20 years since he last heard from his son, and seeing those words brought a rush of emotions he thought had long since settled. Confusion mingled with surprise, causing his heart to race as memories flooded back, moments of laughter, shared hobbies, and the joyous days of Jacob's childhood. He remembered the warmth of their bond before the argument tore them apart. As Tom read the message again, the simple phrase, "I'm sorry, Dad," echoed in his mind, resonating with both hope and sorrow. It struck him that Jacob had finally found the courage to reach out after all this time. A wave of regret washed over him as he recalled the pain they both endured during their years of silence. Tom's eyes began to well with tears as he contemplated the possibility of reconciliation. He realized that this moment could be a turning point for them, an opportunity to mend what had been broken. With a newfound sense of determination, Tom resolved to respond thoughtfully, understanding that this could be the chance they both needed to heal together. The day finally arrived for Jacob and Tom to have their first conversation after 20 years. Both men felt a whirlwind of emotions as they prepared to speak, nervousness mingling with hope. Jacob paced in his living room, his heart racing as he dialed the number he had memorized long ago. His hands trembled slightly, and he took a deep breath, reminding himself of the importance of this moment. When Tom answered, silence hung in the air for a brief second that felt like an eternity. "Hello?" Tom's voice was warm yet hesitant, echoing the uncertainty they both felt. Jacob's throat tightened as he struggled to find the right words. "Dad, it's Jacob," he finally managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. On the other end, Tom's breath caught in his throat. "Jacob, I didn't think I'd hear from you again," he replied, feeling a wave of emotion wash over him. They spoke slowly at first, each word heavy with the weight of missed years and unspoken feelings. As they shared their thoughts and memories, both men sensed a desire for understanding and healing, realizing that this conversation was only the beginning of mending their fractured bond. As the days passed after their initial conversation, Jacob and Tom began to navigate their feelings more openly. They reached out regularly, sharing not only updates about their lives but also their thoughts on the years spent apart. Each call became an opportunity to express long-hidden emotions and reveal the depths of their regrets. Jacob opened up about his struggles with loneliness and the weight of carrying unresolved feelings, while Tom shared his own battles with guilt and longing for his son's presence. Through these exchanges, they slowly started to rebuild their relationship. They reminisced about cherished memories, laughing over silly moments from Jacob's childhood and acknowledging how much they missed those times. With every conversation, the walls that had separated them began to crumble. They also recognized the importance of forgiveness, not just of each other, but of themselves. Tom admitted that he had been overly protective, while Jacob acknowledged his stubbornness. As they laid bare their vulnerabilities, a sense of healing emerged. Though this journey would take time, both father and son felt hopeful. They were committed to moving forward, eager to create new memories and nurture the bond that had once brought them joy. As Jacob and Tom worked to rebuild their relationship, they quickly discovered that reconnecting wasn't without its challenges. Old wounds resurfaced, and conversations sometimes became tense. When they began discussing the past, Jacob found himself struggling with anger over the years of silence. He often felt hurt by Tom's previous dismissive attitudes, which led to arguments during their early calls. Tom, too, faced challenges. He wrestled with feelings of guilt and self-blame for how their relationship had deteriorated. During some discussions, he inadvertently reverted to his old ways of being overly critical, which triggered Jacob's fears of rejection and reminded him of their painful history. One evening, after a particularly difficult conversation, Jacob expressed his frustration. "Dad, it feels like we're back to square one." This moment led to an important breakthrough. They both realized that they needed to confront their past more honestly if they wanted to heal. With the help of patience and understanding, they learned to navigate these difficult conversations, recognizing that acknowledging their emotions was necessary to move forward. Each challenge ultimately brought them closer, solidifying their commitment to reconciliation despite the bumps along the way. Over time, Jacob and Tom's relationship began to flourish in ways they had never imagined. With each conversation, they cultivated a deeper understanding of one another, learning to communicate openly and honestly about their feelings. They set aside regular times to talk, allowing laughter and joy to fill the spaces that had once been so heavy with silence. The forgiveness they offered each other acted as a balm for their old wounds, enabling them to create new, cherished memories together. They began taking small trips, revisiting places from Jacob's childhood, and often enjoying simple activities like fishing or cooking together, rituals that reminded them of the bond they had lost but were now rediscovering. As they navigated this new chapter of their lives, both men realized the importance of maintaining their connection through consistent communication. They learned that vulnerability could be a strength rather than a weakness, allowing for honesty in their relationship. With hope and patience as their guiding lights, Jacob and Tom transformed their past pain into a foundation for a brighter future. The journey was not always easy, but they embraced it together, committed to nurturing the love that had always remained beneath the surface. Another story ends. Another crossroad crossed. Subscribe now for more tales of love, betrayal, and redemption.